Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. We're set for today's video. So it's Thursday, and Thursdays I do Thursdays Thirsty Thoughts pretty often. And one of the things I was thinking of maybe starting to do is a series of the first time I drank blank, and try to pick some of like the bigger beers in craft beer. So for this first one, I decided to do Arrogant Bastard. So this is going back 17 and a half years ago, which to say out loud is kind of mind-blowing. So I was finishing up, I still had like a semester in grad school, becoming a teacher. I started dating a woman, and her father, ahead of the curve, was like really into craft beer. And like he would go to conventions and like he would, trade beer that he could get locally for other beers and stuff. I mean, again, this is way ahead of where craft beer ended up going and is today. So that summer I went down to visit her in the Kingston area of New York, and she had warned me. She's like, all right, so my parents are still together, but they're not like really together, and they live at the same house. I'm like, okay, got it. I've, seen some interesting family dynamics in my day. I'm like, I got it. So we get to her house, her parents' house, and it's one of those split ranches, right? So you walk into the landing, you go downstairs, that's where Dad lives. I was told not to go down there because it was like a mess and all that stuff. And then you go upstairs, that's more where the mom lives. They would do like dinners together and stuff. And like, so he'd come up for that, and then he'd go back downstairs. And by the end of the visit, we did go down there to watch a movie. I forget what movie we watched. So like I did end up going down there, but at first it was like all upstairs stuff. So we're upstairs, and again, this is summertime, and we're eating dinner, and she told me he was a character, I'm like, okay. He starts telling me his theory that the Loch Ness Monster and Champ, the Lake Champlain monster, are the same monster, and there's an underground tunnel under the Atlantic Ocean, and the same one monster swims between the two. And people think it's two different monsters. How do I put this? I'm not that guy. Like, I would love Bigfoot to be real. It's not. Like, there's not, like, how did that one monster get made? Are there a mommy and a daddy monster? It's not a thing, So I'm listening to him talk, and I'm like, all right, I like her a lot. I want her parents to like me. I have no idea how to respond to this. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I never really thought of that, huh? Because I couldn't tell if he was serious or if he was messing with me. To this day, I'm pretty sure he was being serious, but maybe I'm wrong. So I'm like, okay, got that done. Oh, the food's ready. Thank God. Something else for us to talk about, how good the meal is, right? So like we're eating, and he says, so my daughter tells me you like craft beer. And I was like, had just been getting into it. For me, where I lived in upstate New York, Ommegang, Ithaca, for like Flower Power, those were the big ones. We could get some Southern Tier. Then it was maybe more every once in a while, you get like a couple Sam Adams, beers besides the Boston Lager. Definitely Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, Yingling. Not too much later, you get like a Bitta's Purple Haze and stuff. So it was very new for me in my area. So I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm really enjoying trying as many craft beers as I can. All these European beers I'm trying, like definitely a big fan. So just as an aside before I get to the Arrogant Bastard. So that was summertime. By Christmas time, he had made me a 6-pack. And she had told me that that's what he did for his friends, where because again he would like travel to go get different beers, to go to different breweries. She liked going when she was a kid. She liked going with them to all these breweries because sometimes they would do like a house-made root beer and stuff, so she could have like a really nice fancy root beer while he was drinking his beers and buying them. Again, he's trading beers, so he comes and gives me a 6-pack, and I don't remember all 6 of them, but I remember one of them was from the brewery Geary's in Maine. And it was one of those breweries, as I was getting into, I'm like, okay, so like this has been a brewery for a while. I want to say like the early 1980s. And I'm like, I know it. It's got the lobster cap, or it's on the bottle, or maybe both. I'm like, okay, so I've heard of this one. I'm not going to travel to Maine to buy it. Like, I don't see it around me. So like, I remember that was like a really cool one I got to try that I had heard of, It's like the first time I tried Heady Topper, maybe a separate video, right? But it's like, I've heard of this and I get to try it, So it was really rad. So anyway, so we're eating dinner, And he says, oh, so my daughter tells me you like craft beer. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I got the beer for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he goes down to his basement. He's down there for a little bit, comes back up, and he just very purposefully, not overly aggressive, but very purposefully, about as hard as you could put that 22-ounce bottle on the table without breaking it, really trying to make a point. He goes, now this is a beer. It's called Arrogant Bastard. I'm like, whoa, okay. He's like, it's from a brewery called Stone. And at that time, I don't remember, 17 and a half years ago, how easily it was for me it was to get Stone beer in New York. So he puts it down, and he had this cool bottle opener. It was wood, and I think it only had 2 screws in it. And they were next to each other, and like that was enough of a lip on the screw heads where the wood was to like pop the top off. And I'm like, okay, I've never seen a bottle opener like that, so that's cool. I've seen some in the 22 ounces, but I'm like, I've heard of Stone. I've never seen this in real life. Arrogant Bastard. You read the side of it, and it's all I don't know if you guys have never read it. It's all very boisterous, about how great of a brewery they are and how it's not, yellow fizzy water, urine or whatever, like the macros were, and very boastful, hence the name. And he pours, me a glass. He pours himself a glass. She might have had a glass as well. I don't remember if we split it 2 ways or 3 ways. Maybe even the mom had some, and it was in a good way. It was a very aggressive beer. I had started liking Ithaca's Flower Power was the first IPA I had liked. I had tried some other ones that didn't really do it for me, and for whatever reason, whether my palate adjusted or just that one was that good back in the day. But Ithaca's Flower Power, I was like, oh, I like IPAs, I think. So this one, having that hoppy aggressiveness, it was still quite something. Like, whoa, like would stop me in my tracks. It was like, whoa, okay, I have to pay attention to this. This is different. This is impactful. But I also liked the flavors. Maybe like a dessert that's really sweet, but you still like the flavors. Like there's these things that kind of stop us and make us go like, whoa. But we like that sensation, and this beer was so much that thing. So then, of course, what happens to us, guys? When we have that beer, it's like we want to seek it out, right? So I think I did end up trading someone in the West Coast who had wanted to try Flower Power from Ithaca, and I'm like, all right, I'll send you whatever it was, 2 12-ounce bottles for every 22 ounce of Arrogant Bastard you send me or whatever, right? And obviously the rest is history, because for however many years now I've been doing a beer channel on YouTube. So clearly all that stuff hooked me in and kept me wanting to go more. I feel like that story was anticlimactic. I apologize. I hope the Loch Ness Monster thing was enough. I don't know. Do you guys want to see more of a series of the first time I had blank, relatively big name craft beer? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you remember the first time you guys had Arrogant Bastard? Do you remember the last time you had Arrogant Bastard? Anything related, comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.